You wake up on a Monday morning. You're alive. You need a week to recover from last week. Well, I suppose it's time to get up and... The weekend starts looking so good. And then you start getting in a trap. But don't do that. Don't be living for the weekend. You're alive. Live for today. Don't be living for the weekend. You're alive today. Hey, Barely Normal listeners, this is the Barely Normal podcast, episode 14. And my name is Luke. What is your name? That is a very interesting name. Speaking of interesting names, I have met a few interesting names. Excuse the mic noises. What is the most interesting name that you have met? An actual name belonging to a person. I've met a Candida at an Easter. I've met an Ornis, and I've met an Arpie and a Lobka. All very interesting names, I suppose. It is amazing how we can kind of track changes in history through language, because it's continually changing. There is a rate of change. It's wonderful. But in names, it's kind of crazy. Like you get all of the Smiths, who I suppose blacksmiths at some point, or the Potters, or But then you get the more kind of almost sinister sometimes, like Peterson. Which meant belongs to Peter. And you're like, oh dear, or like Freeman, which is a triumphant one, which is amazing. I wonder, so there are some theories about people and how we live in groups and what's the maximum size. I think it's something like 130 people that you can know in your kind of community. 130 people, I think it maxes out. And I think it maxes out kind of individually as close friends at like 12 or 13 if there's a ringleader, give or take one follower. Yeah, maybe there's a lot in the name. Apparently, according to one study, there is a 40% chance of figuring out a person's name if given a multiple choice. Which is pretty striking. It's like, okay, they look like a Stephen, or they look like a Yuval, or a Tim, or a Richard. So I suppose, or an Ornis. Arpie, which means monkey, he didn't really look like a monkey, I suppose. Yeah. And I have no idea what Candida actually looks like, so... But at the same time, we call like some birds thrush. There's a whole lot of other lovely and bad crossovers, I suppose. And I suppose it's relative, because to that bacteria, it is life. It is thriving. How dare we claim that it isn't worthy of equal footing as life? It's amazing how easily we kill things if we've got the size difference. There's fleas in the dog. Get a tick and flea collar. It's like exterminate them. And that's probably what, I suppose, an alien civilization that shares enough of the cultural norms to make it want to expand and travel. Who knows? Although we only have one example of I suppose a people doing that, and that's Homo sapiens. Neanderthals didn't cross vast expanses of water unless they apparently saw where they were going. Smart, say I. Apparently a big difference between us and Neanderthals was our ability to coordinate. So it'd be kind of interesting if it's the difference between, say, horses and zebras, where if you've ever wondered why one has been domesticated and the other has not, it's because they have completely different social structures. If you go to a group of wild horses and you capture its leader, you've pretty much caught the rest, as far as I know. But with zebras, they are highly independent and, well, will obviously bite you and try and get away. They're much more aggressive than horses, apparently. And, if one of those is caught, well, they kind of just leave them. They're a bit like Top Gear presenters in that way. Wow. That was speak of the hot rod, and it'll drive fast. But yeah, it makes me wonder if we are where civilization will kind of go if our cultural norms change. But we often think, okay, well, what are our rules? And those rules will be broken, and that's how it'll change. But I think it's more subtle, much more subtle than that, because the ways that we grow forward are the ways that are allowable, but then people misuse the technology or use in ways that weren't intended, and then originally intended, and then new rules have to come up. So I suppose culture and society is very reactive, and that's why we can't. It's reactive and adaptive, and that's why we can't really plan unless we plan things happening, and even then we don't necessarily know how things will always unfold. We can't even judge the weather accurately. Like, you can't scroll backwards in time on your weather app and see how correct they got it. They don't tell you. And this is with a lot of money and time and manpower put into weather services, government funded, and then created on open. Well, they create APIs, open APIs that are available to technology, so other apps can use their technology for free, and charge for it, which is funny. Which I believe, I don't want to get it wrong, but it's one of the big weather apps. But I think they wanted, there was some lawsuit against basically the scientists and the people creating the data, basically, that the app used. But they didn't want, the people obviously from the app didn't want the knowledge to be available freely because they're charging people for it. And they wanted it to become private, only to them, as far as I know. Which is kind of hilarious, and kind of suing them, I think, because of loss of income or something along those lines. It was, on the one hand, it seemed very credible, on the other hand, it seemed kind of ludicrous. It's like, okay, well, you're making something with something that is free for you. But then again, isn't all value creation in some way doing that? I don't know. Yeah, but I've gone blank. More coffee, I suppose. What would you like me to speak about or ramble about? Oh, well. Bummer. Ladies and gentlemen, we're at 20,000 feet now. This is your captain speaking. And please fasten your seatbelts. Make sure that your trays are in the upright position. We're going to be landing on another plane that's moving through space. Who knows? Anyway, this has been the Barely Normal Podcast, episode 14. Thank you so much for listening this far. Woo! And have yourself a wonderful day. And quote of the day.